Hey everybody, Chris here with Overclockers Club. I've got a couple of cool fans from Cooler Master. Now I was originally going to cover these in one big review, but I actually decided to split them up, so these will be covered in two separate reviews. Okay, so the first fan we've got is the Master Fan MF120 Prismatic with Radiant Crystalline Lighting Effect. Must be whatever that is around the OD there, that outer ring. So we'll take a look at the Master Fan MF120 Prismatic first. You can see right there it shows that it's compatible with all of your latest motherboard RGB systems. And looking at the back, zoom in a little here. Okay, so it has the features here. It shows tri-loop addressable RGB lighting, so you've got 24 LEDs plus it looks like 6 on the fan hub. Then we go down to the silent driver IC. So they're basically saying that the IC, or the integrated chip, smooths out fan rotation to reduce vibration and fan clicks, which is good. And then the radiant crystalline lighting effect, so that's that like frosted ring around the fan there that we saw on the front of the box. It says unique crystallized loop design on the front and back of the fan for the most vibrant dispersion of addressable RGB lighting. So that should be an interesting effect to look at. Then there's two-tier sealing mechanism. It says the sealing mechanism designed to improve the dust-proof capabilities and prevent lubricant oil leakage for extended lifespan and performance. I have to say, of all the fans I've used over the years, I've never had one that gave me any problems with lubricant oil leakage, but hey, that must be a thing. And finally, wide range of compatibility, addressable RGB that is certified compatible with the Asus, Aurora, ASRock RGB, and MSI RGB. Okay, so I guess we can get this one out of the box. And there it is. So you can definitely see this effect around the perimeter there. See if I can get this out of here. There we go. So it has that on both sides. So you got it on the front and the back. As they said, so there's your MF120 Prismatic. Looks like it draws 0.37 amps. And it is a 4-pin PWM fan. And there's usually a second, let's see. Yes, a second connector here for your RGB, and it should be the usual, 3-pin connector there. And of course it does have, if I can get it to swing around here, it's got the male and the female connectors that come off of the same lead coming off of the fan. And then there's the little bracket here. Actually, it's a connector that holds your, when you plug this in, it holds, oops, that's the fan, the other one here. Hold your RGB connection when you plug this into another one. It basically holds these two together, and I'll show that a little later. And then you get some fan screws for installation. There it is. It shows you how you use the little connector there. Now the other important thing to cover here are the dimensions. Of course, we know it's a 120 by 120 by 25 millimeter thick. But the other thing that most people are interested in is what is the RPM range. So we can go all the way up to 2,000 RPMs. It moves 55 CFM, or cubic feet a minute. And noise level 8 to 27 decibels. And then over here, some more specifics. It is PWM, as we already saw. Pulls 0.37 amps, that's the maximum. Uses 1.44 watts, and it has a 2-year warranty. Oh, and of course the bearing there at the top is a rifle style bearing. And those are good for a long life and quiet operation typically. Okay, so now let's get this plugged in and see what it looks like. So I plugged it into the motherboard for the RGB control, but I'll have to reboot it. But the first thing I did was to do the fan tuning. So that way I'll be able to control the fan a little more precisely once it plots or maps the fan curve. So it sort of does full speed and then it drops it down to 0 and then it finds out exactly where that fan starts to turn. Alright, so I'll let that finish and then I'll reboot it and then we'll play around with the RGB. And I guess before it finishes the fan tuning, before I do the reboot here, I'll just talk about the fan overall. So most fans today I'm seeing have these rubber inserts at the corners there, or little rubber pads I should say, and that goes a long way towards isolating any fan noise that's caused by vibration. So those little pads are pretty common, but they're at each corner and on both sides. Alright, well, it was a little tricky, but I got the solder connections all hooked back up, and it seems to work. Alright, so the fan tuning is done. I've got it plugged into the motherboard. The maximum RPM, usually on the little fans like this 120s, is around 2,000, I think I said. Yeah, 2,000 RPMs is the max, and the minimum is 650. So here it is. Now, I don't have really long leads here. They are a little on the short side. I don't know how big of a deal that is, but I can't go too far away from the motherboard here, but you get the idea. So anyway, the little rings here, these like crystalline rings, prismatic rings, crystalline lighting effect rings. Anyway, they're the same on both sides. The only difference, of course, is you have the usual fan frame here to support the motor in the middle. Now this is connected directly to the motherboard, so I'm controlling everything with the Aurora Sync, part of the Armory crate from Asus. So they're static, and I can go through here and change all the colors manually. I don't know how well the colors come through. Sometimes they come a little washed through when they come through on the camera. But in person, I can tell you the LED effect there is pretty intense. Of course, you can shut them off altogether if you want. So these are the standard colors, and then you can, of course, pick anything in between to get whatever effect you like and sort of customize it. So I walk around the little color wheel here, and I can move to get pretty much any color I want. So that's the effect there. And I can go to rainbow mode, and it sort of cycles through that. Let's see here, strobing. And then I can go in again and manually change the color to whatever effect I want. And then there's the breathing effect. Again, I can go in and pick colors at random. And then, of course, there's static. Now, this software also allows you to do the smart, so it's by CPU temperature. So green is cool, and as it warms up, this would turn yellow and then red. And let's see, you can make it work with the music. I don't have any music playing. I guess it flashes with the music. Here's the adaptive color. Oh, I see. So whatever you have your cursor over on the screen, I guess it changes color to that. Something like that. Let's see, most common color in the detection area, which is, I guess I'm not sure how this works. Well, anyway, that's going to vary from motherboard manufacturer to motherboard manufacturer, so you'll have to play around with whatever your motherboard software offers. Anyway, so that's the lighting effect. And I can hook this up. You can see over here on the socket. So there's the female end here, which attaches to the motherboard. And then there is the male end under this, so you can see how you can connect multiple units together. And for anyone interested, the length of the leads, now this is the RGB cable right here, and this one is, use my trusty scale here. It's about 300 millimeters long. And then the lead for the power to the fan, it looks like it might be a little shorter. Let's see. This is from the fan itself. No, it's about 300. So these are both 300 millimeters. So that's how much distance you've got. But the nice thing is they do make, you can get extension cables here for your fan power or your RGB cable if you're in a situation where you really need to mount this fan somewhere that is a distance away from the motherboard. So I will plug the lead back in here for power to the fan. What I'll do next is hook up my decibel meter here, and we'll see how loud the fan is. Of course, most of the time, the fan's going to be in a case, so what I'm going to measure here is not going to be what you would really see typically. So the fan is plugged back in. I didn't really show a side view there, but you can see the lighting effect is, again, the same from either side. All right, so now I'll fire up the old trusty decibel meter. So there it is when I'm not talking. We'll flip it around the other way also here. So the exhaust side. So it's about the same. Now I'll go ahead and crank the RPMs all the way up. So not a whole lot louder. And then the front. So about the same front to back. It's really pretty quiet here. So like I said, when this thing is in a case, it's going to be a lot quieter. In fact, I'll get my microphone here up close to it. I don't know how much of that's coming through, but you get the idea. So the last thing we'll look at here, and I've got the fan down to the low end of the speed spectrum there, so it's just idling. But we'll look at the decibels, and the thing with decibels, here's my decibel meter, and it's about 2 feet from my face, and as I talk you can see the decibel level. It's right there in around 70, 75. And at the ambient, when I'm quiet, you can see the background sounds are right there around 40 decibels, just with the normal sounds in the room, computer fans, things like that in the background, even when it's quiet. So the spec here shows 8 to 27 decibels. So obviously at ambient, I'm well above that range, unless this is really above ambient. So they're saying at idle, it may add up to 8 decibels or up to 27 at full speed. So most people would say, well, you take your measurement at 1 meter away from the source, but then it really depends on the application, how you use the source. So do you usually sit a meter away from your computer, or do you sit 2 meters, or do you sit less than that? It's hard to say, but I can say this. So at a meter, so that's about 39 inches. So if I'm up here and so at idle, it's close to 38. Now if I go ahead and bump it up to full speed, which brings it up to about 2,000 RPMs, you can see up close. And if we come up here about 39 inches away, about a meter, you can see it's not really much different when the fan's at full speed. And the other thing to remember is you're not usually going to have your fan sitting out in the open like this. It's going to be in a case, front of the case, top of the case, somewhere where it will be even quieter. But just standing here next to it, I mean, this thing at 2000 RPMs really is quiet. In fact, let me see if I can put my microphone up next to it. So you can see it's not that loud. Okay, so I didn't realize that the music function here, when you click on it, it of course flashes in sync to the beat of the music. It's not necessarily music, it's anything that would normally come out of your speakers. So like right now, it's just one of my reviews. So it beats to the sound of, or flashes I should say, to the sound of my voice or to the beat of the music. And really it's anything that would normally come out of your speakers. Of course, for some reason I can't get anything to come out of my speakers right now. So all you see is the flashing, but it does work. Now back to the Aura Sync here. You can adjust, on this particular software, you can adjust the sensitivity, the color, the decay rate. So right now it's on pattern, but I can switch it over to color. So there it's whatever color I pick, and that's the color that it will flash. Of course, we have different patterns and stuff that you can also pick. But anyway, that particular function does work. I just wasn't thinking about music in that way. Also, this, it looks like it's sort of flashing or strobing. That's just the laser etched sticker. That's not actually part of the light show. It looks like it is, but it's not. I can show you that when I turn off the LEDs here, that you still see that. Let me get into that mode here. So when I shut it off, you can see the LEDs aren't functioning, but you still get that weird effect there in the middle, and that's just a function of the speed of the fan. So actually, I can come over here and change the fan speed. There's full speed. You can see it sort of changes that effect. So anyway, I just wanted to point that out. There are 24 LEDs around the perimeter here, around this ring, and there are 6 in the center of the fan hub. So I'll zoom in here on a little crystalline ring there. So that has a very nice effect. And then when we look at it from the side up close, you can see it's pretty even the way the rings are. So looking at it from the side, you can see the effect equally. And when I say 24, I mean there are 12 along this face here, and then there are 12 on the other side. So that's where you get 24 total. And if you want to look at the inside, they have a nice exploded view here on the Cooler Master website that sort of illustrates how everything goes together. So of course your brushless DC motors in the middle, you've got the rifle bearing, here's your circuit board, has your integrated chip on there to keep your vibration and sound down, and it has some LEDs on it, and then your LED strip is here. That has your 24 LEDs, and then these are the crystalline prismatic rings there, and of course the fan itself and the frame, and that's about all there is to that. And talking about their silent driver IC, which is for integrated chip that's there on the auto circuit board, it really does seem to keep this thing quiet. I've noticed this fan, when it was running at the maximum 2000 RPMs, it really seemed quiet, and that's when it's right out here sort of in your face. And like I always say, once you get the fan in a case, that usually quiets it down even more. So I'm pretty impressed with the sound level of this fan. Pricing right now, this fan in single pack is $29.99 retail. Check out Amazon. Pricing sort of varies all over the map. You never know. Keep your eyes open for a deal. They also make a 3-pack, so you get 3 fans plus the little clicker to manually cycle through the RGB functions, or you can still hook this up to your motherboard to synchronize everything if you want. So $30 for one fan, you know, given the feature set, the cool RGB, you got 24, 12 across the front face, 12 across the back. You got 6 in the middle. of the hub there. This thing is super quiet too. So I don't think $30 is really out of the question for a fan with this feature set. Of course, you can buy any fan that'll just move air for $8, maybe $10, but it's not going to do what this fan will do. So one fan is around $30, and I don't think I said what the 3-pack was. The 3-pack is around $100. Again, it just depends on what kind of a price you can find. Anyway, I think that's decent. So I would give this the Overclockers Club Gold Award. And stay tuned because I'll be doing the review here for the next fan here, the Master Fan SF120M. So keep your eyes open for that. This is Chris with Overclockers Club. Thanks for watching, and don't forget to subscribe.